Everybody has a junk drawer. A high schooler misses a season because she played for Team USA, and robocalls seem to be on the rise. The guys talk about classic bowl games, being the second best, and more this week on Just Press Play.
The red wasp is excavating pregnant ladies and little kids better get the hell out of the way because I am running. I'm like Forrest Gump, dude. I am running. So the Titanic was the biggest ship on the ocean, but that didn't mean it was unsinkable. All right. Look, I want you each to use ombudsman in a sentence next week. I got one for you. My name is Kevin, the official ombudsman of the Just Press Play podcast. You like apples?
Alrighty, welcome back. We got the guys with us, LJ and Pops. Another episode of JPP. What's up, guys?
Good evening.
Man, all the way from Chicago.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Finally made it home.
Yeah, everyone is back in their own homes. It was fun to record. It was fun to record all under the same roof and be with each other. And shout out to Benji for jumping on with us. But it is nice to
hell of a guest.
Be back in my own bed.
Guest. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he brought a level of intellect this show doesn't normally have.
Definitely raised the bar as far as intellectual content.
Yeah, back to just little old us now.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
Get out your Wikipedia. Someone fact check us.
But we are recording this as of Sunday night. It's about 7:30, and the wild card round is now over. We're gonna dive deeper into it a little later this week. With Uncle Tony's going to join us, and we're going to really kind of react to some of the wild card and look into the divisional round. But let's go ahead and talk real quick. The Cowboys, the Clapper and the Cowboys found a way to win another one. They tried to lose it at the end.
Yeah, they did. They sure tried to give it away. But how about them Cowboys?
But how about them? So now, y'all, the listener can't see it, but y'all can see it on the pod. The mustache has to stay at least another 7 days.
Yep.
This ridiculous looking stash. Now I've got to find a way. So after the Cowboys won, I thought I need to now, since this mustache is staying a little longer, I was like, I got to find a way to style this bad boy. So I threw on old Tombstone and saw old Val Kilmer with Doc Holliday. I saw what they were. By the way, just one time, shout out to the guys on Tombstone. All those guys have some badass mustaches. I could only dream of having one like Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer and then
for sure.
But to the game, I wanted to ask you, Dad, what stood out to you? Just your overall, like when you turned the channel, went to bed. What did you think about the Cowboys game? About them winning?
They tried to give it away. I thought that
typical Cowboys.
Typical Cowboys. Trying to remember, I think there was some really poor clock management at the end. Again, typical Cowboys.
I saw some poor clock management all throughout the wild card round. It was just baffling. The guys not knowing when to get out of bounds and timeouts when you shouldn't. It was.
I think we need to dive a little deeper in that. Maybe in the next one. What was it? I had something else on the game, but hell, we won. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I think here was what it was. Zeke was the best player on the field, and I think Dak played serviceably, but I really thought Seattle would take Zeke away, and either they didn't or couldn't. That was the difference.
This is wild, and I never thought this sentence would come out of my mouth, but Jason Garrett, as bad as he was, he outcoached Pete Carroll and Seahawks. They called it with having Russell Wilson at quarterback. It looked like they made Russell Wilson play with handcuffs on or something because they just wouldn't let him throw the ball. It was I didn't understand it. I know running's how they got there, but they had the best quarterback on the field, and it was odd when they did throw it down the field. It looked really good. As a Cowboys fan, I was upset every time he dropped back, and every time they handed off against that really good. That Dallas can say this: they do have a stout defense between Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, and I know we've talked about this all throughout the year.
Defense was fantastic.
The defense is good. Ezekiel Elliott's good. Dak is good enough, I think, but I'm always worried he's one turnover away. And then we had. Did you
know Dallas was the only home team to win wild card?
Well, and that's what I wanted to bring up. The game that really shocked me the most, and I just wanted to briefly bring it up, was that Texans Colts game. I do think the Colts were good, and for any of the listeners, I bought them a while back ago, and that's probably the one successful thing I had, or at least the most successful thing I had, was the Colts picking them at 1-5. But I thought they were that good, but man, the Texans looked like they were outcoached, outclassed. They just looked like they didn't belong. They were down 21-0 when you blinked your eye. Did y'all have any issue? Yep. I was going to ask you, Dad, because I know we were texting throughout the game, so you were watching, but did you have any issue? It was a 21 donut, and every time Deshaun Watson would get a first down, he would signal first down. He would pull the Cam Newton thing. And I kind of thought I could see Pops on his Cam Newton stuff, not liking that too much.
Yeah.
Well, I think if he would have done it maybe once, but he did it multiple times while
every time he got a first down. Yeah, every time.
21-0. Yeah. It's kind of like, dude, put some points on the board first. It did stick out to me a little bit. And I like Deshaun Watson. And I don't mind somebody saying first down, damn it. But when you're behind 21-0, show me something more than just a first down.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I do think, boy, the Colts look like there's some years to come for them. With Luck, looks like he's the guy that we remember before that shoulder fell apart, and then all of a sudden, like just a couple years ago, we were talking about how that GM, like they did a terrible job drafting, and Luck had no one around him. Now all of a sudden, there's rookie all pros all over the field. Like it's just that rebuild happened fast, and it looks good now.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up to LJ the Chicago. He already mentioned he's recording this from Chicago. We just got done watching the old Double Doink special from Cody Parkey. I don't know what to think from Chicago. It's definitely a disappointing season, but I mean they did lose to the defending champs. What'd you think, El?
Well, I mean, yeah, you put it in that context, it's a disappointing season. I think of what Chicago had last year, and so you got to kind of say it was a success. But yeah, this was very disappointing. I definitely I've been saying for 3-4 weeks that I see them in the Super Bowl, and that's clearly false. Like just demonstrable. I've also been saying that the Eagles are not a good team that don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So I'm just as wrong as can be. But I do want to say that, do you remember, I think it was like DJ Steve Porter or something like that made the, Allen Iverson remixes and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's his name. I'll have to look it up, but he made a couple of those. So what I want this man to come out of retirement and make a remix of the Cody Parkey donks from this year, because I think there's a song to be made. Those 3 that he had in that one game had such a clear sound. I loved it. So,
I mean, I don't think anyone's as good as Cody Parkey at kicking the ball and hitting the upright. Like he is good at it.
Could you imagine how tight
it doesn't help his job. Yeah, it doesn't help his job whatsoever, but he is good at it.
He just showed out today and hit 2 at one kick. I mean, he's just like, watch this. Hold my beer and watch this.
You think I'm good at hitting the crossbar? Watch this shit. Hold my beer is what he said. It did seem like a disappointing year, but then there were some bright spots. I kind of thought Mitchell Trubisky, he did the thing I've kind of seen him all year, where there's times where he looks like he's a backup quarterback that for some reason is starting, and then every now and then he'll make beautiful throws while on the run, creating time. I think there's some potential there. He's got a lot to work out, but every possession you never know what you're getting from him.
If you would have told the Bears at the beginning of the season you can go to a playoff game and come within 2 doinks of winning it with a first year head coach, right, a second year quarterback. Didn't even have Khalil Mack.
We didn't know a lot of those names on the defense before this year. I didn't really keep up with any of them.
I think they would have said, "Where do we sign up?" I think they should be happy with this year.
And I think I don't know if you got to see. I know LJ's talked about it all year, but how important Eddie Jackson is to that team. And I know he dressed out, but he didn't play much because of that ankle injury.
Right,
they had the backup playing, and that's a huge part of that back end of the defense.
Yeah. Well, and there's not a much better city at saying, well, we'll get them next year because this is a city that survived the Cubs drought. So we'll see what happens. But they're really good at saying, well, we sucked, we didn't deserve it, but then also saying, but next year we're going to be the best team in the league. So we'll see what happens. But I would say that this is a successful year, just a really rough ending. So
and I will a little tease onto the next week. When we talked Cowboys, we kind of talked about Dak and how he does just enough, and we kind of poo-pooed him a little bit. I have some interesting Dak stats to throw out to you guys next time we record. Dak stats. Yeah, I should find a drop for that. But there are some interesting stats that maybe he's a little, like we underrate him a little bit, like Cowboys fans in general. But we'll get to that
an underrated Cowboys quarterback that Kevin wants to whine about.
Real quick, but speaking of Cowboys quarterbacks, you just brought it up. Did y'all realize the conundrum it was hearing Tony Romo talk about how the veteran Joe Flacco should get in for the young quarterback who was struggling in that playoff game? It was wild. You could hear as Tony Romo was sitting there calling for Joe Flacco, I could just see Dak and Romo when he's sitting there on the sideline. It was really interesting.
I didn't get to hear the game, so that's a cool note.
Well, that is one question I want to address maybe on our next podcast. But do you think Harbaugh, for not playing Joe, caught any Flacco?
All right, off football. Let's save it.
Boy, Dad, that was a real zinger there. So just for the listener at home, I don't know if you could tell, but he thought he was going to save that for our later podcast later this week, but he couldn't help himself. He got all giddy. As soon as someone said Flacco, his ears perked up and he was all excited.
Well, he's red right now. He can't breathe. He's laughing so hard.
Willie catch some Flacco.
Good Lord. I apologize to the world for that one.
We got the comedian Lifford here on the mic. Speaking of pros, I watched a game on Friday night. I watched a rerun of a game that was the 14th year anniversary of the 2006 Rose Bowl. I think 14.
Oh, yeah.
Be right. 13 or 14. My math's pretty bad. But 2006 Rose Bowl, and it was January 4th, and that was against Texas USC. I'm sure I don't need to say that to anyone. Probably most people listening to us already know that game. I wanted to bring it up to you guys, one, just because did you guys know that there were 50 different pro players on those rosters combined?
No.
50.
Wow.
And some of those are going to be like backups that later became pros, but 50 players on that roster went on to play in the NFL.
Wow.
That just blew my mind. But what's more interesting is clearly the big names like the Leinart, Bush, Vince Young guys, they're no longer playing, and they kind of didn't quite have the career we thought they would. But only 5 guys from that roster remain in the NFL today, and only 2 of them are starters. Do you think you guys can name the 2 starters?
No.
One. Could you name one of them?
I mean, no.
I don't think so.
I don't.
One of them is
tackle.
Ryan. One of them is Ryan Khalil, the center for the Panthers, who's been like a Pro Bowl center for many years. Yep. And the other is Brian Orakpo for the Titans.
Okay.
Who's still getting it. Interestingly, the other 3 are not guys that you would know. They're not starters. There's Frosty Rucker from USC. He's played for the Raiders this year. He was kind of cut and bounced around. Then there was Colt McCoy for the Redskins, the backup quarterback for the Texans.
Yeah,
and
he got a game in.
Mark Sanchez for the Redskins, the backup quarterback of the USC.
How about that?
Wow, what a reunion.
Who would have thought the backup quarterbacks from that game would be the longer NFL players?
Yeah.
Hey, do you think Orakpo is really making cupcakes with that other guy?
LJ, it was either LJ or Dad. I think it was Dad. Dad questioned whether that was true or not. I think that's 100% of business. I think LJ looked it up.
Well, no, I'm questioning it now for the first time. I don't think I've asked that before.
So you're wondering if they have a business, or you're wondering if they actually make the cupcakes?
Are they satirizing, or is it just a satire, or do they really have a cupcake business that they invest in?
I think they legitimately are passionate about making cupcakes. I think LJ looked it up and saw, And I think Michael Griffin was being 100% serious when he says, "Don't eat the profits" to Brian Orakpo, because that's an NFL linebacker in cupcakes. I wanted to, but about that game that was interesting to me. I think that was, for me, back in 2006, I guess how old would I have been? 14, about 11 years old, I think. Something like that. Probably just turned 11. That was the first instant classic game. Like, first game I've watched, I was watching and thought, I think I'm watching the best game I've ever seen ever. Like, this is it. Yeah.
And still to this day, it's probably at least I would say the best college football game I've ever seen, maybe up there with the Boise State, Oklahoma. There was a couple of Alabama championship games in there. But do y'all think, LJ, do you remember, was that the first game you really remember being a classic, or you've watched more than I have? I mean, shoot, you watched Broncos win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was about to say I really came into being a football fan the year that the Broncos won their first Super Bowl. So, I remember that pretty well. But as far as college goes, I mean, that was Jesus. Like I was just sitting there, I think, and we've kind of talked about how faulty memory is. And we talked about, Malcolm Gladwell had this thing about, asking people at 9/11 where they were and how it changes. But I distinctly remember being at huge Longhorn fans' house, John Payne. We watched the game while we were doing,
Shout out
science
to Doc.
homework. Yep. And so me and Doc Payne and a couple other people were watching that game. And by the end, me and him were just watching the game. We did not care about this science homework anymore. It was mind blowing, that one. So it was a good time. But I put it up there with the Boise State was going to be my thought. I think once Boise State happened at that time, I think that was my favorite game to have ever been played because it was just so off the wall, so much fun, so tricky. Like,
and it was plays like you've never seen before. Like, Vince Young just put the team on his back, but that Boise was like the hook and ladder and the Statue of Liberty was stuff. At least I know for me and LJ had probably never seen a play like that in our life. Like, what is this? This is awesome.
Statue of Liberty was something I'd heard about. They mentioned it in Little Giants, I think, and that's my only experience with that concept of a play. So it was mind blowing to see done in a high level.
Honestly, that was the first time I ever saw live a Statue of Liberty play. I mean, I'd seen some film and I knew what it was, but I'd never seen it live in a real game until that game. Wow. And I guess we saw it perhaps together. I don't remember where we all were.
I think I watched it in your living room. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
Well, I was going to ask you, and it's interesting that LJ brought it up because I was going to mention the Malcolm Gladwell thing about remembering where you were and how it changes and stuff. Do you remember where we were during the 06 Rose Bowl, Dad? I know LJ remembered he was watching it with John Payne, but do you remember where you were?
I mean, I think I was at my living room over on Monroe Street is where I would guess. I'm pretty sure that's where, because I remember that game being the first time where you allowed me to, like, because I was pretty young still at the time. And every now and then I could maybe stay up for a late game, but I'd have to really annoy the shit out of Dad to get it or just break the rules and watch it in my room. But that game, I was like, I don't remember what time it was, 9 o'clock, whatever time bedtime was at the time, rolled around. And Dad had mentioned bed, and I kind of looked up and I was like, "Can I stay up for the game?" And he's like, "Yeah, definitely." It wasn't even a question. And I remember laying on the floor watching that game. It was a great game, and I think you more than you were kind of into Vince Young. You liked Vince Young.
He made me my heart wanted to hate Texas, but I loved watching Vince Young play.
It was watching Vince Young. So yeah. I think we watched in Monroe I
remember laying on the floor in Monroe watching that game. It was to this day it's probably most enjoyable until I see the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, which probably won't happen in my lifetime. But that was as an enjoyable game as I've gotten to see. It was fun. We mentioned Vince Young. Speaking of quarterbacks, there was interesting, and we'd kind of texted around a little bit about it, but interesting tidbit came out about Aaron Rodgers over the past week, where Mercedes Lewis, a tight end who had played for, it seems like a ton of tight ends have played for Aaron Rodgers in the Packers. They just come in and out of there and don't really last. But Mercedes Lewis was asked about Rodgers and McCarthy in that relationship, and he told a story. We'll post the tweet to our show notes if anyone wants to watch the full thing. But basically, he remembered a play where someone told Rodgers what the play was in his ear, and Rodgers kind of heard it and basically just said, "Nope," and just told everyone their route. Like, you run this, you run this, you run this, and they broke. Yeah. And it kind of goes to what we talked about, that maybe Aaron Rodgers is, I don't know how great of a coach McCarthy is, but Aaron Rodgers might be a pain in the ass to coach if he's just not listening to you.
I would be annoyed.
I will tell you this: if the head coach and the quarterback are on different pages like that, you're in trouble. One of them's got to go. Whatever reason, one of them's got to go. One of them's got to go.
It's like we talked about.
It's not going to be Aaron Rodgers.
It's not going to be the most talented quarterback maybe in the NFL.
Maybe, it won't be him.
Well, yeah, for sure. It's like we talked about when we talked about Hugh Jackson and who's the GM there in Cleveland. Not agreeing. When you've got a situation
John Dorsey.
When you got a situation where the two shot callers can't see eye to eye, you got to change. You just have to move on. So,
well, especially with the play caller and a coach like that. I mean, a play caller and the quarterback, because like what you do when you're calling plays, not only do you want to call the best play for each spot, but sometimes you're calling plays to open up something later. And so if you're putting a play into your quarterback and he's literally just going, nah, and running and drawing his own routes up, that's tough. But then I thought later, you remember the play, I know Dad's going to remember it, the play a couple years ago, last time the Cowboys were in the playoffs, where Rodgers beat the Cowboys in the division round in Jerry World, where that last play where he scrambles to his left and hits Jared Cook on the sideline. Well, later
I could see it plain as day. Yes,
they asked about that play later, and the guy, like Rodgers, said it, and even the other guys in the huddle said that. Yeah, we just kind of Rodgers basically just said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say hut and roll out, and I need y'all to all go deep." But then, like he kind of did the same thing. He kind of just drew a little ad lib play instead of getting a designed, Hail Mary. He just designed it right there on the fly. Aaron Rodgers is freaking amazing because he did that and beat the Cowboys on it. But if you're doing that all the damn time, like y'all said, someone's got to go, and it ain't going to be Aaron Rodgers. If you're picking sides, there's not many coaches who take over him.
Well, I think that's an interesting question too, of like who has the best perspective to call these things too. Like Peyton Manning did all of his work that way. Like you weren't play calling for Peyton Manning. He's going to make the call every single play because he can see things that a coach can't see from the sideline. So I think there is something interesting too. That gave them the opportunity to beat the Cowboys in that game. And he wins them games because of his ability to do that. But I would not want to be that coach.
It's
and
interesting
like you
brought.
I was just going to say, like you said, the coach sometimes calls things to set up things for later. I mean, Kyle Shanahan famously calls plays to set up things 3 weeks from now. So like, you have somebody not listening to you at all. How's that ever going to work? So.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you brought up Peyton because Peyton really talks about, I think one of his favorite offensive coordinators is Adam Gase, who was there back in the Denver days when Peyton was lighting it up there for, what'd you say last week, 55 touchdowns or whatever 55.
It was? Yeah.
He talks about how Gase was so great because, like you said, Peyton would say, I see stuff on the field and then I can go back and Gase, like they have a conversation about it, not just here's what's happening and listen to me. Yeah. They actually have an open conversation because you do see different things. And that's who Peyton wants to go coach in Green Bay, who they have interviewed Adam Gase. I don't know how well Gase has done at Miami. It seems like they're always 9-7 or 7-9, but that you need someone who can coexist with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Nothing's changed.
So are you saying Rodgers has gone on record he wants Gase?
Peyton Manning says that Gase would be a good fit there because Gase is really good, a very intellectual. Because I would bet Peyton Manning's a tough guy to coach too because he's so intellectual. Sometimes he's just smarter than you. And as a coach, that's probably frustrating. But
it's a game of trust at that point. I mean, they need to do some trust falls, I think, maybe in Green Bay. And
that's what they need to do. There doesn't need to be any kind of interview. Let's just do a trust fall and see how it goes. And so that means Josh McDaniels definitely won't get the job because no one can trust that man as far as they can throw him because he'll back out of the job after already accepting it. So.
Yeah, well, thank God for the Colts, right? The Colts got to be happy as hell about that.
Man. Yeah, I did. Thank you for putting that dot together in my head. Wow, that's a huge deal.
Man,
Jesus.
I mean,
did you hear the reason Frank Reich got that job? So I was reading something earlier this week that out of all the people they interviewed, they wanted to give it to McDaniels just because they liked McDaniels. But then after he backed out, they interviewed a few more people, and Reich was the only one that came in, and he didn't ask about Andrew Luck at all. He didn't ask about his arm, how he's doing, when he'll be healthy. He just wanted to come in and get a job. And if Luck's there, great. If he's not, we'll figure it out. And it's worked out pretty well for him because Luck looks like MVP Andrew Luck now.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me. Talk about trust fall. He would just trust the GM instead of saying, I'm only taking this job if Andrew Luck's healthy. He just took the job with the GM. He just liked the spot he was in. And it's working out.
Kind of sounds like he just needed to pay rent this month. Well, I've taken jobs like that before.
I would just Reich. So of course, Reich was the OC for the championship Philadelphia Eagles last year. So
right.
I mean,
I think Peterson calls plays. I think Peterson just calls plays, and Reich's the quarterback coach. But quarterbacks have long, like even Winston, Foles both talk about how Reich's such a great quarterback coach, and they loved him, and he was so easy and to talk to, and understood players and whatever. I mean, I don't think Luck needed a ton of coaching to be good at quarterbacking, but whatever he's doing is working down there right now.
Wasn't Reich the backup to Jim Kelly all those years? Wasn't that?
I think they were talking about he won a playoff game in Buffalo or something.
I think he did. When
you're getting a little above my, you're getting above my or before my time.
I'll look up some Frank Reich stuff. I'll have it for you. So.
You guys know I love a good conspiracy theory, and one got brought to my attention, and it's by good old Chris Johnson. If you remember, that's CJ2K, that little Mr. 2000. Titan. Yeah, Mr. 2000 for the Titans back in the day. He came on a show and recently said that he doesn't believe. Do you remember John Ross was the guy 2 years ago he's for the Bengals now, but he broke the record for 40 time and actually got a new island from Adidas or whatever that whole promotion was.
Yeah.
But he broke the record with, I think, a 4.21 or something. And Chris Johnson came out publicly and said that he doesn't believe John Ross actually broke it. And the guys doing the show kind of laughed about it, and they were like, "What? Yeah, I'm sure you think you're faster." Huh? He goes, "No, like for real. If you put the video side by side, you can see I pull off on him at the end." And then he went further to explain his theory because they were like, "Well, the official time came out," and he goes, "But if you look, that official time took forever to come out." And Chris Johnson's theory is that the NFL was just trying to drum up some hype for the combine because it hasn't had much hype in a while. And what better way to bring it is than some guy running the 40 time faster than we've ever seen it. It's just interesting. He thinks the NFL just faked that time. Like he probably ran a 4.29 or something, but they bumped it to a 4.21 or whatever it was to get him the record. Tried to drum up some views.
I'll tell you what, if your 40 time starts with 4.2, I don't give a damn. You're fast. You're really fast.
Oh, you're right. Nobody should take anything away from either of these gentlemen for being able to run faster than I can even blink. But
if you are labeled as Chris Johnson was, if you're labeled the fastest guy to ever run the 40,
number one's a big deal. Number two is if you're not first, right? What are you?
Yeah,
you're first to come in last. So
I don't know.
I just thought, and especially me being the conspiracy theory guy, I was ready to jump all aboard. And now today, I actually got introduced to a new theory. LJ, can you before the Bears game, they showed I forget who was the guy that came out with Brian Urlacher? There was two Bears legends that came out before the game.
For real?
I just can't remember. I couldn't remember who it was because my TV was muted.
He's got a forgettable name. So
my TV was muted, and I just saw two guys walk out. It was Brian Urlacher and someone else, and I was like, "That must be a Bear legend." I don't know who it was.
Oh my God! Your grandfather would be turning over in his grave right now.
Anyway,
Brian Urlacher and some guy.
I just saw an old white guy walking around with Brian Urlacher, and the only reason it really caught my eye is because Brian Urlacher has a lot of hair atop his head. And if I remember right, that man was bald as it gets. That head was slippery back in the day.
Shiny. It was shiny. He had a shiny head.
So I put a tweet out to our little group message. It was just like, man, that's odd seeing Brian Urlacher with the full head of hair. And one, the older gentleman had a decision on whether that was a full head of hair or not. But LJ, you don't think? Well, let me just hear your little theory because you live in Chicago up there.
Okay. So I'm going to preface this with I thought I was too late on this. I was going to bring this up on the podcast when we first started it, but like these ads have been out for maybe 2 years. So I thought maybe
the Brian Urlacher with hair jokes are very old, but I'd never heard this theory until you brought it up.
So in Chicago, there are tons of billboards. He does sponsorships for, I think it's the Hair Restoration Clinic or somebody. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's weird seeing Brian Urlacher with hair. But also, I never thought he was balding. He's always shaved his head completely. It's not like he like regrew the hair on the back of his head because that wasn't growing or something. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like there was like a little bit of hair here and it was bald in the center. He was just bald as he gets. Like, he looked like he shaved every morning. He had a bald
so
head.
I looked up old pictures and he was tight buzz cut or bald for like basically his entire life as far as I could tell. And so I think he just decided to let his hair grow one day and then got $1 million sponsorship. So I think that's one of the most brilliant moves in maybe business history or something.
So,
let your hair grow.
Do we think that somewhere along, like maybe Brian Urlacher just liked being bald, but somewhere like his agent was like, hey, you should stay bald until you retire. Then as soon as you take that helmet off, all of a sudden you're growing that thing back on top.
Yeah.
If we're gonna
he was famously bald. I just don't think he was famously balding. So
well, and I did think as soon as I saw it, the first time I remember a couple of, I don't know if it's months or however long ago I first saw him with hair on his head, I thought, man, he should definitely be like the poster child for some kind of Rogaines or Just for Men commercial, something. Because I just thought all I've ever pictured Brian Urlacher was with a shiny bald head. And so now it looks funny with him with hair.
So when did you think that, Kevin? When did you think that?
That he should be the poster boy?
The Rogaine spokesman, yeah. When did you start thinking that?
The first time I saw him with hair, I don't know. It was a couple months back.
I'm just saying, you're probably 3 years behind his agent, I guess. So you're, yeah.
Well, no, his agent saw ahead of the game. His agent, while he was bald, was like, "Hey, could you grow out that hair if you wanted to?" He's like, "Yeah, I could. I just don't like to. It rubs up my helmet the wrong way." He's like, "Don't do it.
Don't do it."
See, here's what I'm thinking, Kevin, is you keep just the stash for as long as you can, and then we'll make you the poster boy for beard restoration in about 15 years.
Yeah, but I don't know. The stash is kind of a goofy look. I don't know if I could go the stash till
You're
I'm
keeping
like
it out.
35.
There's money in it. There's money in this. We'll just say in 15 years that you could only grow a patchy beard and it was sad and depressing. And then you're just going to show up with a full beard and everybody's going to think
it'll be our live read before every single podcast.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be so true because why else would he look like that for 15 more years? Right?
Y'all just wait. When I get the stash that Wyatt Earp had on Tombstone, y'all are going to be thinking, "Man, that thing looks good." I'm working on it. You can just call me Wyatt next time I get on the podcast.
I can't wait.
Keep working, Wyatt.
I cannot wait.
I wanted to get to a little story that's been going around. Jay Billis brought it to my attention earlier this week, and I texted it out to you guys. But the high school player in Alabama that got completely screwed out of her senior season. And I'll just lay the story out for anyone who doesn't know about it yet. It's this senior in Alabama, Maori Davenport. She led the Team USA in rebounding and blocks en route to a gold medal at the FIBA Under-18 Championship earlier in 2018. And a lot of times, the way the USA basketball works is they'll give players a stipend or a check for the cost of travel and the loss of employment that they weren't able to get over the summer. Because like as a high school kid, a lot of times you work over the summer. Yeah. Usually their guideline is to confer with the high school federation if it's a player that's not going, because the NCAA will usually allow this. They'll allow those players that play for our country to get a stipend, even though they are pretty tough on stuff. But if the player has eligibility in high school still, they'll check in with whatever state federation that is to ensure that the player is allowed to accept the payment and keep eligibility.
USA basketball does this, or the player does this?
The USA basketball. Before they send the check, because the player gets in trouble just for receiving a check. So they're supposed to confer before they ever send a check. And someone mistakenly forgot to call the Alabama High School Athletic Association because they didn't realize that Davenport still had her senior season to play. So they just forgot and didn't call. So they sent her a check they sent her for $857.20 for the cost of playing. Well, the AHSAA only allows a player to accept a payment of $250 or less. Anything over that, and it ruins your eligibility. So that screws Davenport. Well, the USA Basketball realized they made the mistake, and they notified all parties. And then Davenport sent the check and the money all back and gave it all back to him. But the state of Alabama, their rules committee ruled that she had to sit out 1 year, which is her last year. So she's not able to play. Wow. That is some baby back bull crap. That is just terrible.
I agree, Kevin, and I saw too that it has been upheld twice on appeal.
I didn't see that because I was thinking my first thought was they can maybe fix themselves. If this were to surely, if you brought this someone's attention, maybe this just someone said, "Oh, she's lost her eligibility because she received her tech." Blah blah blah. But then when you bring it up like, "Oh, they screwed up. She didn't even. No one knew, and she sent the money back. She sent the freaking money back." You would think
that counts as not being paid. I think, right?
Like you would think.
I read something where what the Alabama High School Athletic Association is hanging
the president.
They're hanging their hat on the fact they say because the check was cashed. Because the check was cashed, she's ineligible. She gave all the money back. And from what I got out of it, they thought it was legit because it's USA
she was basketball. Playing for her country.
Playing for your country with the governing body of men's and women's basketball in the United States. So why wouldn't you think it's okay? Poor girl. I feel horrible for her.
Well, And my first thought was I was mad at the USA Basketball Association because they admitted to making a mistake and not calling the federation because they thought she was a senior. Whoever's job that was just dropped the ball, and they admitted to it. And so it's like, well, damn it, you screwed her over, but at least you're standing up and saying I screwed up and I'm sorry. The state of Alabama could go, oh, okay, she sent her check back. It was a mistake on someone else's. A professional's made the mistake that works for our country. Made the mistake. Let's let Davenport play. But they're like, no, like Dad said, they're hanging their hat on. Nope, this is the rule. She cashed a check. And it's really at some point it's disgusting, I think, to this girl's senior season. Yeah. I mean, it just is. And obviously she's a really good basketball player, probably going to hurt her team's senior. So,
I would say this, Kevin, unless there's something we don't know. Remember, there was one time maybe there's something we are not aware of.
Hopefully there's something we don't know.
Hopefully this is that dad with the baseball all over again. Or?
Right, yeah, that's guy. Right.
This just highlights to me how dumb it is that athletes can't get paid for their work. I mean, if she were a child actor, it'd be no big deal. She'd be able to still act in her school play and shit like that. I mean, I don't understand why if you're good at something, you can't get paid for it. It drives me up the wall that, these people are especially putting their bodies on the line. Like she could ruin her entire career by playing for USA Basketball, by playing her senior year of
she could do like Paul George did and hurt her leg.
Yeah, she could miss out on maybe millions of dollars playing for the WNBA someday. And, but you can't, an athlete can't play for free or for money. So it frustrates me to no end that one, that's happening. And then two, that it's happening on such a petty level that she got $500 or $600 more than she was supposed to, and then gave it back and still can't play. Like that's just disheartening to me.
It reminds me a little bit of, I forget who, I think, was it Katie Ledecky who was dominant in the Olympics, went back on the last Olympics, and then
the swimmer?
She couldn't accept she couldn't accept anything because she still had a year to go at Stanford. And so she couldn't accept all the crazy endorsements and all the, because everybody, she was like the poster. She's the poster child of him. The whole country rallied behind her and was watching her every night, like on program TV. Like I was setting my alarm to watch Katie Ledecky, and she can't accept a thing from it because the NCAA is so ridiculous. And this isn't even the NCAA. This is the state of Alabama. And DeMarcus Cousins, who a lot of people wouldn't, Boogie Cousins, if you're an NBA fan, he's from Alabama, and he said that same association was really tough on him, and he almost missed his junior year because of them. Now, we don't know. Maybe Boogie Cousins actually got paid by an agent, or who knows? He went to Kentucky, so he probably did get paid something. But
he got paid one way or another.
But it's just ridiculous. If this has gone to appeals twice, and poor girl. I mean, and not even just her, like her senior teammates, like they might have a chance to go win an Alabama State championship. This is something you'll remember forever. If her basketball career flames out, she'll remember this, and now she'll remember that she had to sit in the stands and watch. She couldn't play out. Hopefully something else changes from it, but
Kevin, that would go back to the old worst of the week. I think that would probably be.
That would definitely land on the worst of the week candidates. Another thing that could land on my worst of the weeks, and this has been recently. Have y'all gotten an uptick in all the robocalls recently?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is it the new year? What is going on? My phone is blowing up, and it's always like healthcare or how's your back or something stupid. It's like, don't hang up.
Yeah.
Pisses me off.
Yeah. Hannah gets a phone call like maybe 3 times a day from insurance agents. We're insured. We don't need insurance agents to call us, but she still gets 3 calls a day from people trying to sell her insurance. It's absurd. It's stupid. I just can't stand it.
I mean, I'm telling you, I don't answer the phone. If it's not a number I know, I'm just almost
and now they've gotten so dang good at it, they can do the little like
number spoofing.
I forget, there's like an actual term for it, like neighborhood or something, where they can see number spoofing or something, where they can look and see like what numbers you have in your contacts. And so I have a lot of 903 numbers, and so they can make the number show up as a 903 number. And but here's my question. Are some people falling for this? Someone's got to be falling for this if they're doing this much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's happening.
Somebody must be.
Well, and it makes sense too. I mean, especially when you think about people that aren't even used to having caller ID, they got excited to see a number on the phone. And then now you see numbers that are local to you. That's probably somebody right? You live in rural Kentucky, and if they've got the same area code as you, they're not from Lexington. So it's not the big city calling you. But it definitely like, cause I've noticed that it like is the opposite of effective for me. I'm more likely at this point to answer an 800 number than I am a 903 number. I don't know, because I don't have anybody in 903 that I don't have their number saved that I think is ever going to call me. So.
Well, and the more frustrating, and I've become like you and Dad, where if I don't have the number saved, a lot of times I'll just won't answer it, and maybe they'll leave a voicemail or text me and tell me who it is.
Yeah.
But I have a stupid sleeping schedule because I work at night, so I'm asleep during the day, and these numbers call during the day. So they're waking me up to a dang machine. So I can put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I don't like doing that because if something important is happening, like from either work or with y'all. Right. I want to wake up to answer it because a lot of things happen during the day. Yeah. Not when I'm awake. So it's just, robocalls just frustrate the shit out of me. And all it is at the end of the day, it's someone trying to scam someone out of money, which is even more frustrating. Go make a living for yourself. Quit trying to scam people.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
That reminds me. So
I feel your pain.
It wasn't a scam, but my senior year of high school and my first year of college, I used to get phone calls from Landstar Trucking, and I would get about 4 or 5 phone calls a day, if not more, telling me where loads can be picked up and where they're going. So I could just go pick up that load and take it. I mean, I wouldn't even drive in my senior year of high school. So there's no way I could have done it. I kept calling them and saying, take me off of this damn list. And they said, oh, we'll take care of it. And they disappear for 2 days. And then I'd be back to 15. My voicemail would be full. This is maybe why I hate voicemail. This maybe is the catalyst, because
we just figured it out.
My voicemail would be full in 3 days minimum.
So we've actually figured out the stem of LJ's hatred for voicemails.
It makes some sense now.
I mean, highways drive me crazy, and that's just because I see Landstar trucks and I have flashbacks. So that's probably exactly it.
Poor driver for a Landstar truck. He's just there, and LJ's like flipping him off as he drives by.
Well, and I can't help but think that, I mean, maybe somebody was like pranking me with the weirdest prank that I could possibly imagine. But what's most likely is somebody who's missing out on tons of income. Like just every opportunity to get paid. They're like, they just never call me. I just can't get paid.
So we talked a little bit earlier about this isn't really a playoff tidbit like from the NFL playoffs. It's more just I went Saturday and I was watching some of the games with I just kind of ran with some random guys at the bar, and they were throwing out some we's and us, and I kind of thought, when are y'all fine with saying we for a sports team, or is there a rule? What do you think?
Great
LJ?
question. I am fine with other people doing it, but I try not to. I know I do it sometimes, but I also I don't love it because I feel like it. For one, it's not we. I mean, it's them, right? They're the ones actually doing the thing. I'm not doing.
Yeah, I'm not the one that might tear my ACL or like Alan Hearns and screw my ankle up. Like if I'm sitting on the couch with my feet up.
If you said something like a couple of years ago, I could have said we won the Super Bowl and drank a beer. I mean, me and the Broncos did those things. Not all of us did all of those things, but we did that. Then that may be fair. But yeah, no, I didn't win a Super Bowl. I just watched a team that I liked do it. So I'm not a big fan of the we, but we all do it, I think. So I'm not
but you do at times. Well, let me ask Dad's thought. What do you think, Dad?
I really see where LJ's coming from, but I think probably the beauty with sports and teams is that you associate with it. You relate to it so well. The Cowboys, the Razorbacks are freaking we, man. I don't care.
So that's what I kind of thought. Do college teams count as we because Dad went to school there? He technically is a Razorback.
So you probably, it's more appropriate.
You were an investor.
It's more appropriate, yes, because I have invested and continue to invest to some level in the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Boy, you might want to relook at your portfolio.
I might want to change where. Maybe go to send some money to Alabama. But
they're paying their players right, so maybe.
But so yeah, I mean, I get it. I think that's kind of the beauty of sports is how you are so related to it. But yeah. I feel you. But I'm going to probably say we for the Cowboys and we for the, But now if it's, and I really like the Golden State Warriors, but that's them. I mean, I haven't been a fan of them since I could see. I've been a fan of the Cowboys and the Razorbacks as long as I can remember. So
here's kind of my thought on it, and I for one, I'm kind of with both of you guys. I think I'm more with Dad, where I think that's part of the thing about sports is I've been through so many highs and lows with the Cowboys that when we are winning, damn it, we're winning. Like we're like, I'm going to be happy because I went through all these damn losses and
we sure lost some with them.
I've let the Cowboys ruin a good Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday for me. So when they win, I am like, yes, we won, like stuff like that every now and then. And so I totally get that aspect. But what bothers me is when they're like the fair weather fans that they're 1 year we won as in the Cavaliers and LeBron, and the next year it's we won the Warriors. We three-peat. It's like, if you've gone through the highs and lows, I'm with you. You know, throw the we's out there. Let's get passionate about it. But I hate when it's just we for every team that you just happen to be rooting for this year.
Yeah. I think it also, one other place I feel like you can apply it is if you live in the city. I definitely threw out the we won the World Series a couple years ago. And I've been a Cubs fan for about 3 years. So it's not like, you know, they really are, I'm not a we with them, but it is my city. So I did feel a little like me on the map in a way. So.
Well, and that's what I wondered. I also, another thought, like kind of like college, like I totally get Dad saying I can say we for the Razorbacks because he is a Razorback. He graduated from there. But when I almost think when you live there, like as Chicago, like you are a Chicagoan now, as long as like you're going to wake up tomorrow in Chicago. So you lost with the Bears.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what well, and that's the thing is I think if you're going to you have to the loss too. And I did walk in, I walked into the kitchen and said, well, we missed the field goal. So like, you know, it is something I definitely do. And it's, you know, it's going to be hard not to, but I also definitely feel like I didn't miss that field goal. I didn't have a chance. I wouldn't have made it. So I'm glad that I didn't kick it. But, I definitely said we a lot more when I used to think that if I sat on the couch with my feet up and a warm drink in my hand and my Broncos jersey on, they had a better chance of winning. Then it was all about the we.
Well, whoa. You're making it sound like my mustache isn't the reason the Cowboys won.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it didn't work for me. That's all I'm saying.
I do. Sometimes I'm definitely not the we police. I'm not going to police you for saying it, but
the we police.
At times I kind of go like, you're throwing out.
That's an episode title right there.
It just is interesting to me. Like as LJ mentioned, like I'm sitting I was literally watching the Cowboys game with my feet up with the beer in my hand. And they're out there, like the actual Cowboys were out there risking, like Alan Hearns got hurt, and hopefully he comes back, and that was a gruesome injury. Yeah. He's risking himself. I'm sitting here. I guess I could roll an ankle on my way to the fridge for the second beer, but
let's not belittle your risks. Also,
yeah. Well, maybe the 10th beer. You'd probably be more likely on the 10th.
Yeah, but I will say, happen. That's the thing.
You never know.
Yeah. Well, and I did battle through at one point. Like it was like right before half, and I wanted to make sure I stay before the second half or before the half ended. And I really had to pee, but I held it until halftime. So, I mean, we're all working here. We're all working here.
In it.
Row the boat, baby. We row it together. The last thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, and it actually got brought to my attention by one of my favorite follows on Twitter. And if you don't follow him, go give him one. Good old Shea Serrano, who writes for The Ringer.
Yeah.
He wrote out, so he's married. He's a Mexican guy, and he's married to a black woman. And he talks about it a lot. And he was like, the one thing, his tweet was, the one thing that I can tell, there's a lot of different things where her family clearly does stuff different than my family, being from two different ethnicities.
Yeah.
But he said, the one thing that doesn't change is we both throw the same shit in the junk drawer. So that had me thinking about what we throw in the junk drawer. And I kind of thought we might all be similar since we all lived under the same roof for a lot of time. So I asked you guys to tell me what's in your junk drawer. So LJ, I'll throw it to you first. I want to start with the H. I want to start with the one who probably taught us the what junk to put in there. Dad, what's in your junk drawer?
Well, what's funny is the most prominent thing in my junk drawer at this point in time is silica gel packets. I mean,
yes, my man.
They absorb moisture out of there. They're just handy. So
that's not a junk drawer anymore. That's a treasure drawer.
It's a treasure chest.
That's a utility drawer.
All right. A couple of other things I have. I have a tape measure. I have some old air fresheners, but not anymore. They're in the trash now that I look through. I have an old staple puller that I've been looking for. I have a lot of lighters, like cigarettes, like lighters and candle lighters, thumbtacks, And I wrote down this is kind of interesting, but I have Marks-a-Lot. Do y'all even know what a Marks-a-Lot is?
Yeah, it's like a big Sharpie, right?
It's like a Sharpie, yeah, but I said Marks-a-Lot, and I actually looked at them, and they're Sharpies. So,
oh, yeah, I would definitely. See, I'm the exact opposite. No matter what brand it is, to me, it's a Sharpie. It's always a Sharpie. A couple more things.
One thing y'all probably don't have, I have extra readers. I have some extra readers in my junk drawer.
Not not in there yet.
I keep 6 pairs just in case for guests, you know.
Stuff. Just in case Dad comes over to play spades, we have some in the drawer.
There's some things I think y'all have. Rubber bands, just a few assorted rubber bands like from newspapers.
Sure.
Twisties. I have some twisties for trash bags. I have some timers for my lights.
Twisties is in like twisties that go on the end of like a loaf of bread?
Like bread ties.
Bread ties, yeah.
But you have them for your trash bag?
Yeah, because I've got a new trash can. I have big trash bags. They're not the cinch sacks. I have to actually pull it out and twist it.
I forget
archaic.
With Dad, there's always a method to his madness. There's always a reason for it.
So I had, like I said, some timers, like lamp timers.
Of course.
I had a couple of those. Of course, I'm kind of into that. And then just notepads. And I had several pocket knives. But now these pocket knives were kind of the freebies you get here and there. They weren't good ones, but that's
question, Dad. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this question later. LJ, what's in your junk drawer?
So this was a really interesting question to me because Hannah and I, as you know, are living on our own. I have had roommates since I was born up until like basically now. So so we're just now getting to where we don't have to share a junk drawer with 7 other people or 2 other people or something like that. So we're trying to figure out the junk drawer. Like we're still in the process of learning it. So I'll tell you, I've got a junk drawer in the office here that is a more normal maintained junk drawer that has got the usual suspects. I mean, I've got things like things I can't explain, like dead cell phones, but I've also got like flashlights and stamps and batteries and pins and a lock pit set, just in case, I guess.
Never know.
But the junk drawer we have in the more central location in the kitchen, I think they're always in the kitchen.
If they're not in the kitchen, then it's not a junk drawer. I don't know what that is, but.
Well, and let me say, I have several junk drawers, but I went with the one in the kitchen.
Yeah, you're right. You know the junk drawer.
The junk drawer.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I bring up this other junk drawer that's not in the kitchen, because
everyone listening to this knows when they hear the junk drawer, there's like a specific drawer in their kitchen. They
in
see
the kitchen. Usually it's near the phone.
I was about to say,
used to be phone.
I bet you could walk into any house and they say, "Hey, could you go into the junk drawer?" And it'll take you two tries max to find it.
That's true. I bet you can.
I bet you can.
But so in the other one, in the living room one, we're still trying to figure out what's in it. So we've got things like saran wrap and trash bags, which really should probably be in a different drawer because we've got too much junk coming our way eventually.
In the junk drawer.
Yeah, we've got some random cups that Andrew left, and we've got some like little Starbucks clips that we can use for chip bags, and that's really about it because all the other stuff is in a more traditional style junk drawer in the wrong room. So I'm in a weird place.
Are y'all's drawers? Are y'all's junk drawers? I guess your real one's just kind of bare right now. But Dad, is your junk drawer like neat and organized?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, are you a narc?
No. I have gone through like all the Sharpies were in like a little plastic container in there. Oh
God.
The thumbtacks and push pins were in like a separate container. So, but otherwise it's total chaos.
Yeah, that's the way it's meant to be.
Okay. So now that chaos is a ladder. Yeah. Now it sounds like we're talking about my junk drawer. I have like this huge drawer. Like it was the only one that really made sense to be the junk drawer. And so like I've just been throwing stuff in there. And right now I wrote down a few things. There's a ton of pins, half of which I'm not sure if they work or not. Like they look like pins I accidentally stole from the bank or something. And like I just put them in there. And then there's a bunch of koozies in there. There's a bunch of batteries, but the batteries aren't in like a Duracell box. They're just there, so I don't know if they work
just
or
free
not.
batteries.
Yeah. You just like pop them out of your room in the drawer.
Yeah, there's like 7 of them, and I don't know if they work or not. Speaking of remotes, there's a remote that I accidentally stole from the hotel. And then there's a bunch of Chick-fil-A sauces, and for some reason, a bunch of ketchup packets when I never use ketchup at home. I've never used it, but for whatever reason, I can't throw them away after I get back with my fast food. I just can't. And then napkins.
How long can you keep a ketchup packet? Like, do they last indefinitely? They surely
I thought
expire,
that was
right?
like I thought those were like when the world's in, or like when you have no food, you can survive off ketchup packets.
Eat ketchup. Yeah. Just eat ketchup.
Yeah.
Surely
they don't go
not.
bad. Yeah, they don't go bad.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up and I probably won't tell you because I don't want to break your heart.
Well, and I don't understand why I keep the ketchup because I don't eat the ketchup when they put it in the bag. Like, I don't hate ketchup, but I'd never think to like put ketchup on anything. I'm not like Patrick Mahomes. And so I don't know why I keep them and put them in the drawer. But by God, if I get some Burger King and there's some ketchup in the bottom, I'm going to throw it in the drawer and then throw the bag away every time.
You're not like Patrick Mahomes in that one way, right? Just the one way you're not like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, there's other ways where I may be like Patrick Mahomes, but not in the ketchup sense. I may be like him throwing the football.
Right.
Speaking of Mahomes, did you see Peter King had him reenact the no look pass for his Monday morning quarterback? There's a tweet.
I heard them say that, and I didn't get to see it.
He did it. They did it one take, and he looked the other direction and threw it to a thing. I think they said it was 34 yards downfield. They measured it, hit the target, dead on the money. Like it was amazing.
What is that memory? Is that what's happening there? Like, how do you I don't even know the function of my body that I would need to improve to make that happen.
There's people like us, there's humans, and then there's those kind of people that are something different. I don't know what it is, but like Patrick Mahomes and LeBron James and Michael Jordan and them, they're different human being than we are. And I can't believe I'm already throwing Mahomes in there with the two GOATs I just mentioned with LeBron.
Yeah, no, that was something.
I had a pretty nasty little no-look pass on the basketball court there like once or twice in my life.
Well, so a couple things I've got in my junk drawer that I've been misled about how often I'd use is I've got some like wet wipes that I never use from Buffalo Wild Wings. Like they're just going to sit in there probably forever because I can just wash my hands.
I have some at work. I have some wet wipes at work that I haven't used.
Well, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Well, like the logic behind it makes sense, but I haven't used them yet.
But like in your kitchen, I think that's absurd. And I'm like realizing it as I'm looking at my junk drawer.
There's a sink right there. You can wash your hands instead of using that wet wipe.
And I would rather every single time wash my hands. And then another thing, I feel like TV has lied to me about how often I would need brown paper sacks because I've had this bag for like, I don't know, 15 years. And it's not going anywhere. So
more often than not in a junk drawer, I haven't been here long enough. I think I have like something since I've moved that's like sitting in a closet somewhere. A lot of times cords end up there, like cords you're not quite sure what it goes to, but you're not going to throw it away because by God, one day you're going to be trying to plug up your old Xbox and there's that cord.
Yep. I've actually got 2 tubs in a closet for that. That's my junk drawer. I've got too many cords.
I would bet you money. Probably. I don't remember seeing any right now, but I bet you we could all find at least one coin in all our junk drawers.
Which is weird because I don't collect coins in there, but there always ends up being a coin in there. And it's usually oddly sticky.
Yeah, they're sticky. Yes. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes.
I think
you'll go empty the drawer out and they're stuck on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. Right. I think that is one universal thing. Like I think Shay touched on something. A junk drawer is just, and we're saying this with 3 white guys recording, but I do think you go into any home and you can, like LJ said, you can find a junk drawer, and for the most part, you're going to find similar things in a lot of junk drawers, and it's going to be a lot of things that people just for whatever reason they were taught when they were younger. You don't throw it away because it'll be useful one day.
I mean, well, and if I walk into a house and someone says, "Hey, can you hand me the scissors?" and I say they're not out, and they say, "Well, they're in the," I'll tell them to stop because I'm going to find them. It'll take me 30 seconds. So.
Yeah, scissors usually go in my junk drawer, but lately I've been using. So I live alone, so a lot of things just get left on the countertops.
Yeah,
and
I know. Like, at times our coffee tables are junk drawer, and other times our side tables are our junk drawer.
Right.
That's just kind of the way it works when you're not living under the parents' roof anymore. Like you're kind of just like, oh, I just leave the scissors right here because I will use them again eventually at some point.
That's the going wild they talked about in high school movies.
Yeah, but here's the thing, guys. That next week you're going to be in the utility room and you're going to be looking for the scissors, and they're not going to be in the junk drawer where they usually are. They're going to be on the junk table.
There's 2 rooms in my apartment.
Okay.
Utility room.
And then once you get out of there, you got to go to the safe room. Once you leave the safe room, you're going to your second den.
My guest bedroom and then the study. Yeah, there's a lot of different rooms for me to get lost in here.
Point made. Okay.
Oh. So I was in the shower the other day. I'll just ask you.
Shower thoughts.
So I have it's kind of like an explain it to Kevin. The other day I was getting ready to buy some stuff for my shower. I needed some more shampoo and conditioner. So I went to go get it. Why is the shampoo always, you set it up and you open it at the top, but the conditioner, the lid's always on the bottom? Like if you look at the label, if you put them where the labels are facing right, conditioner's always upside down and shampoo's always right side up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, definitely. I've always noticed that.
Do you think there's a reason, or is it maybe to know which one's which, I guess?
I think that's always been my guess is just the standard. So that way because I take my glasses off to take a shower, and I think probably some 40% of Americans
and
also
Dad
take
doesn't have his reader showers, his shower readers.
Right. Guys, I've been thinking about putting some readers in the shower. I've got to check this out.
I was joking about shower readers.
Y'all may have just saved my life. Good God.
Yeah, I mean, if you get usually it's not every shampoo, but almost every shampoo will have a standardized one's up and one's down when it's set in the proper direction. So yeah, look for that. Seriously.
Really, it's not even like if you get the same brand of shampoo and conditioner. Literally, all shampoo lids. I was looking at Walmart because then it just intrigued me. All shampoos, the lid's on the top and the bottom is normal. Like if you put the label the right way. And then the conditioners, the label's always, if you put it facing the right way, the lid's going to be on the bottom, which actually works better because then when you're running low, there's conditioner right there instead of having to shake it,
Yeah.
But I guess maybe they're trying to distinguish it. We might have just stepped on something.
I cannot wait to go look in my shower.
Well, Dad is excited for tomorrow morning shower. He's going to chunk those readers out of the shower and just fully confidently put Axe body wash all in his hair.
They keep fogging up. It's just a problem. My damn readers are fogging up.
And then you pull out your little your microfiber napkin and it's all wet and everything, so it doesn't work.
Hey, y'all are laughing, but I shave in the shower. Well, when I do shave, I mean, I've got a little bit of hair growth going now, but when I do shave, I shave in the shower. And I mean, I have to get just right with the mirror, I can't because it's tough. And then it fogs up. I mean, growing old is not for wimps. We'll just say that. Okay.
What if you can put that water repellent on your windshield and then the water doesn't stick to it very well and it just kind of runs off of it? Has anyone ever done that to glasses?
No, I don't think so.
Know.
But the fog still would show up.
Rain-X, put some Rain-X on my readers.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm thinking I might find an old pair of glasses and try that now.
Yeah, but your fog
because that could be a game changer. Huh? The fog?
Yeah, the fog. He's
talking about putting Rain-X on that. I think maybe will make the fog.
I think it might. And then the other thing is if it's on there, even if it does fog, you just let the water hit you for a second and then it'll defog.
Well, speaking of million-dollar ideas for the shower, I don't understand. We need to come up with the brand. Get with Garnier or someone that does shampoo and conditioner and even soap too. But those because they need to be specific. But dispensers, kind of like you do when you wash your hands in a public restroom where you just press it. So thing that's to the left. And instead of having being a pain to change, because if you've ever worked somewhere where you change them, they're not a terrible pain, but you do have to kind of open it. And sometimes they got to finagle a little bit and put the new one in. Just make one where you literally take the thing out that you bought from Walmart and put the new one in. And then you can just keep doing your dispenser. I think this is a genius idea.
I'm into that.
Then if you did this way, so here's my other thought. If you did it this way, you could have your shampoo and conditioner always is in maybe on the left and the shampoo's the left and the conditioner's right to the right. And then soap's over here on your right side of the head. So I really thought this out. Then, because a lot of you like to shower in the morning.
Your left, as opposed to the left, the center, and the right.
The left and then the left. So then those are on that side. And then on the right,
my
you
left
have your
or
body
your
wash.
left.
And then the way it works is you like to shower in the morning. So I wake up and I'm kind of groggy. And sometimes you turn that light on right when you wake up. And boy, that light can be bright. Now I don't need a light. I can go take the shower and have no light in there and still know where all my crap's at and just be reaching around and it's perfect. And then Dad never needs his reader because he knows the conditioner's always in this one. It's always, and then the shampoo's in the left. He always knows it.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
That would be a good idea. I've taken a shower before when the power went out. That's not fun. It's really not fun.
Really, I love dark showers. I totally I'll do it every now and again just to, have a dark shower.
Really? Just
it's like a whole different ambiance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a different world. You're not necessarily going, it's relaxing. It's because showers are already relaxing. And then just being alone with no stimulus, but the water hitting the back of your head, nice and hot. It's the best, guys.
Also, another thing we should, while we're making these, I was thinking this too. Just have how your radio has a preset and you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 and they're different radio stations. Well, your shower can have a preset and 4 is the temperature I always like to shower at. It's real hot, but there's also a 3 that's a little cooler. And so I don't have to So if I wanted to completely shower in the dark, I wake up in the shower. By the time I get out of there, I'm wide awake. But I can just wake up, press 4, and let that water. And it'll take a second to heat up like it always does, but it gets to that temperature that I've set it at. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, by the time I get out of the shower, now I'm awake and I can turn those lights on. And I'm fully bright and wide awake. I don't have to walk in there with my eyes all squinted and the lights hurting me. Just saying, make waking up a peaceful time.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? So I have one of those showers that it's one knob and you kind of put it in the middle between hot and cold. I guess there's like a certain level where you put it, huh? So yeah, I mean, like I'm usually in the summertime, I'm about 2:00. In the wintertime,
a little frisky.
No, dude. In the wintertime, I'm more like 12:30. And I don't know if that's because the pipes are a little colder that it has to run through in the attic or something. But literally, I'm about 12:30 in the wintertime and about 2:15 in the summertime.
2:15. Well, I guess this goes back to, and LJ tried to explain to me, and it wasn't as interesting a while back ago. I think I brought it up either to y'all or on the pod, but the way my shower works is, and some other people's is similar, I think, where my cold, if you turn it just right, now that's a good hot. If you turn it just an inch to the left, now it's cold. An inch to the right, now it's hot, like it's burning hot. There's just like there's that
inches,
one
you're
sweet
overselling
spot.
it. We're talking millimeters.
It's nothing. It's like literally sometimes like I just
tap it.
Yeah, I'm literally like sometimes like just tapping it over to try to get it the right way. And so if I just had a button, if I get it the perfect temperature and then go set this for 1, this is my fave. And then I also have a 2 when I'm maybe just got done playing basketball. Haven't done that in forever, but say I just got done playing basketball, I'm sweating. I don't want it as hot, so I have a 3. I just think it could work.
It's a good idea.
And you can also have it, set up with like something on your phone. So when you when it knows the temperature outside, it goes ahead and just moves at 3 or 4 degrees. And
I'm sure
we could just really futurize bathrooms.
Or just say, "Hey Siri, set the shower at level 4."
I'm sure though, just like my lock light that we had before that someone had already created. I'm sure someone's probably already created this stuff, and I'm just too poor to invest in it yet.
But we could be the first people to put it together and sell it to the mass market. I mean, let's quit the podcast game and get into the bathroom game. I'm just saying, now might be our
integrate
chance.
them. We'll integrate them. We'll even put some waterproof speakers where you can play a podcast. Be like, play the newest JPP pod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
It'll come preloaded with all of our episodes, of course.
Clearly, yeah. You get the best preloaded on there.
That's
and then
a selling point.
Set shower level to 4 and queue up the latest JPP pod. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah. Gonna be a good shower tonight, boys.
Oh man. I will tell you, the shower game changed back when Mom first bought that waterproof radio. LJ, you remember that?
Oh,
when we could listen to music in the shower.
Yeah. Nothing's
My
ever been the
showers
same.
changed for life. Yeah. I was like, boy, I can throw on 95.9 and just jam while I'm taking this shower.
Yep. Now sometimes I take a shower without music just for the novelty of it.
Oh, I hardly ever. I almost always queue up something to listen to while I'm in the shower. I like to sing. The shower's a good place to sing. So if you put some music on, you just start belting out. But then again, it can be annoying if you share a house with someone. It can be annoying having that person. Like I've had a roommate that played their music and sang in the shower, especially like when they wake up earlier than you, and you just hear them singing their little butt off, and the music's playing all loud. They're over there singing some Usher or something. You're like, God, shut up. You're like, trust me, it doesn't sound near as good out here. A perfect segue on to the way we wrap them up every week. What we're listening to. I'll start over with. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off because I just talked about. I'll queue up some stuff.
Yeah, you never go first.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off. I actually been listening to some old school. I don't think I've said this. I know I've said Kanye before, but specifically Late Registration Kanye. I've been jamming some good late reg before he jumped off the deep end.
That's great.
And like basically, it's like you know how they have like AD like in BC. It's like B Kim K BK before the Kardashians.
Yeah,
that Kanye was.
I think a lot of people have that in their timeline.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson. There's a lot of guys that
Lamar
have
Odom,
Lamar Odom and Chris Humphries. There's a lot of before the Kardashian hit. But yeah, that's what I've been jamming to.
Anyway.
Some good late reg with the teddy bear on the album cover. Just some good stuff. Also, shot great album covers too with the teddy bears. I loved those back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
LJ, what about you? What have you been listening to?
Well, can I take it a little different route? Can I do a different?
You can always take it a little
answer?
different route. The world is your oyster.
All right. So, okay. Well, so I'm going to change it a little bit because for one, I've been listening to music for shows and it's been mostly really aggressive rap and metal for like a really weird version of Macbeth we're doing. I'm really excited about it, but none of that music's going to sound good on our playlist. But the other thing is this is kind of a platform where we get to shout out things that we think are really cool that other people should check out. And if you're a board game nerd, we just got this game called Gloomhaven and we have not stopped playing
Say it again.
It is the coolest board game Gloomhaven, Gloom Haven.
Okay.
It is the coolest board game I've ever played. I mean, now let's be real. You got to be a real board game nerd and you got to have somebody that'll consistently play it with you because, you know, like the way it's set up, you can play essentially one game for like years. If you do it, it's
years?
So cool. Yeah. But like you can also break the game in the middle and like play with different people. It is such a neat idea. It's like a kind of nerdy fantasy game. But it is, I mean, seriously, it is one of my favorite board games I've ever played. I mean, if not my favorite, it's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also expensive right now. Like, I'm not saying everybody go out and buy it today, but like, if you're a board game nerd, it's worth the money.
Oh, is it the one you were talking about? Like someone got you a board game and it was supposed to be like this really cool game.
And the box is £30 and, it's fantastic game.
£30.
So cool. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, yeah. It took its own load to get it out to the car. You know, we needed to take our time, not hurt our backs.
Well, color me intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. I love it. I love a good board game. I can't get enough of them. But
yeah, I know you
Pops,
do.
what about you? What have you been either playing, listen to? However you want to go with it.
Oh, I've been listening to some Rosillo podcast, actually, probably more than anything lately. But I did hear a song the other day that really got me. It was Ben Harper's song.
Pineapple Pen.
I did like LJ, and I couldn't find that to put on. You have to help me find because I want the video. Did you? Okay, it's got the video part too. Okay,
yeah.
I think I did get something, but I was busy last week. Anyway, blah blah blah. So Ben Harper's "Diamonds on the Inside." I heard that the other day. It's just one of my all-time favorites.
Fantastic song.
It's a great song. Yeah. So that's what really struck me this past week.
Great song, great artist.
Good stuff. You know, nothing better than putting on a good board game with some good tunes behind you. Now we're talking.
Oh man,
little slice of heaven.
Well, I'm about to go play some Gloomhaven and listen to some Ben Harper and Kanye. I think that was about to happen.
This was perfect. And then Dad's about to go check his shower because he thinks he can throw those readers out the window.
I know. Yeah, that is the first place I'm going when I leave here, guaranteed.
But if you can't, put some water repellent on them.
Yeah, on them glasses.
We'll make it happen.
Buy some rain eggs. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully by the next time we're recording this, Maury Davenport will be reinstated by the dumb Alabama High School Association.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Real quick,
episode by episode.
Yeah, real quick. We're recording this on Sunday. The next time we get on the college football, or the time people hear this, the college football championship will have been played. Let me get a winner and a score for the Alabama Clemson game. I'll start with you, LJ. I know you keep up with a ton of college football.
Yeah, I've watched one game and you were sitting next to me.
All right.
And then I watched. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say.
Do you want to talk about Clemson's quarterback?
Yeah, Clemson's quarterback is the douchiest looking human I have ever seen in my life. I don't know anything about him. He seems like a great guy. He's obviously very talented. I have no reason to dislike him, but he looks like an ass. Like I just hate
LJ hated him. LJ couldn't stand him.
Like,
wow.
I don't know why. I don't know why I got such a strong reaction to his physical look. I don't know what it is. I couldn't even describe it. I know a lot of people that look similar to him in different ways. I don't know. But so with that in mind, Alabama's winning this game. Just that's my only reason. And also because they're maybe the greatest college football team. Let's go with, I don't know, 45 to 22.
All right. Wow. Blowing them out. I think the point spread's like 5.5 right now.
After the third touchdown, they realized they needed to go for 2. That's how we got to 22 there.
I'm worried, LJ, that you're going to have to see old Trevor Lawrence for a long time because he was like the highest rated prospect to ever come out of college football. And he's kind of like Andrew Luck was, where they're saying he's perfect.
He's like 18 years old or something too, right? Like I hate a child, essentially. I don't know what my problem is. I've got a problem.
He felt bad. Like he was like, I kind of feel bad, Kevin. I hate this kid. And he's younger than you. He's 18 or 19 and I can't stand him and I have no reason to hate him.
In 4 years, he's going to be a Bronco and I'm going to love him. So,
and then he'll be a part of the Wheeze.
Yeah, that's right. He'll be on the Wii team.
Dad, what do you got? What's your score?
Well, I'm going to take Alabama, and I think I'm going to have it a little closer. I'm going to go 35-32 Alabama.
That's a little closer.
We're on these weird two scores, 32 and 22. I don't want to go just same with you guys, but Alabama is really good. But you know what? I'm going to go with old Dabo Swinney and LJ's favorite quarterback. I think Clemson beats them in a high scoring. I'm going to say 38-35. That's what I'm going to go.
Who is that? Who's that betting company that's going to lose a lot of money if you're right?
Talking about MyBookie?
No, not MyBookie. Who was that company that paid? They already paid out the winnings on Alabama.
Oh, they paid the winnings.
Who do we say? I think was it FanDuel that already paid out winnings? I forget.
I think it was FanDuel. Yeah,
paid out winnings.
So if you're right, FanDuel loses like tens of thousands of dollars.
Lots of money. Yeah, they get screwed.
Hundreds of thousands, maybe.
So we will see. I'm excited to see. Oh, by the way, did you see that instead of doing for the international broadcast of the game, guess who's getting to call that? Joe Tessitore, Jason Witten, and Booger McFarland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On ESPN2, instead of showing what they used to show us the coaches' film room, where it was like Mac Brown, and last year it was old Burt Bielema because he was fired, and it's basically old fired coaches getting to talk about the game like the little coaches' film room. And instead of doing that, which a lot of people kind of like, they're going to put on the Monday Night Football crew, who doesn't always get the best review.
Well, let me just set my VCR for that bad boy. I'll have to watch that over and over again. Will they have the Booger Mobile?
No, did you see in the playoff game? Booger they didn't do the Booger Mobile. He was in the booth.
You're right. He's in the booth.
Then never mind. Yeah. I'm not programming by VCR at all.
No Booger Mobile, no LJ, and that's it. That's final. All right, I think that'll do it for another good week of the JPP. Well, actually, that's just half the week. We're finally getting back to our regular scheduled program, and we'll come back at you here in a couple of days with a good playoff. We'll react to more in depth to the wild card weekend and some of the things we couldn't believe in, things we were impressed by, and then we'll touch on what we think about. I'm sure we'll talk about the Cowboys going up against the Rams divisional round. We might even mention the Broncos. Who knows?
Well, I imagine we might mention the Steelers. We'll see.
Oh, boy. Well, so who knows? Something might break between now and then. I mean, it's only a few days, but Antonio Brown can make a headline. We've learned that. So,
no doubt.
All right. That'll do it, guys. I will catch you in a couple of days. Peace out.
Peace.